embarking on this road about putting Great Britain, the great back in Great Britain, in its role beyond the European Union. That is Boris Johnson's job. Is he the man for the job?
Is he the man for the job? I don't think that's for me to say or not. But clearly, with the UK now embarking on leaving the EU, which to my mind probably means worse trading terms between the UK and the EU than it has now, then setting up better trading terms with other countries is of course vitally important to the UK economy. I think the real difficulty that the UK will find is, of course, informal talks are one thing, but trade deals really come down to the detail, the nitty-gritty. It can take a long time to negotiate them. And at the moment, the UK doesn't have its own tariff or own menu of external tariffs that it applies. They're part of the EU. And what it ends up
but then
with,
surely that's where people would say, well, you use the WTO, as it were, menu. Talk to me about Theresa May. It's very interesting, these nuances in terms of how we think the negotiations will start and go in terms of Theresa May's ambition to have access to the EU, but at the same time to reduce immigration. Square the circle.
Well, you can't. There is a fundamental trade-off there, which is that full membership of the single market requires free movement of workers. If you restrict free movement of workers, then it jeopardises full access to the single market, and that really is the choice the UK faces. And of course, outside the single market, of course, you can have free trade agreements which reduce tariff barriers, but the single market goes a lot further than that by reducing non-tariff barriers, which is why it's so important.
Is that when the reality check comes, whenever people in this country realise actually access to the EU is not something that you get unless you've got immigration?
When does the reality hit?
If that is the scenario, excuse me.
Indeed. I think, of course, it feels like a lot of decisions have been pushed out with Article 50 maybe not being triggered until the new year, so maybe that gives a period, as you say, of relief, and maybe that comes back again at this point when it becomes clear really that single market access is in question. There are a bunch of polls, of course, around which suggest that a majority of people expect the UK to limit free movement and retain single market access.